Hello, I'm Shona, the Chief Executive at the Fringe Society. I wanted to take a moment to tell you personally about the journey travelled since the announcement with our sister summer festivals in Edinburgh that the festivals wouldn't be able to go ahead this year. On a personal note, I vividly remember the very last gathering of the Fringe team in our little Fringe shop on the High Street and seeing the real kind of worry and apprehension in people's faces. Real concern. We didn't know at that stage, like everyone else, how long the pandemic would last, what effect it would have on us personally, what effect it would have on our family and friends, and what impact it would have on our entire network of colleagues, artists and companies across the whole Fringe network. What we did know was that there would be enormous challenges, personally, professionally, emotionally. And we made a commitment that day that we would, whatever faced us, we would try to come out the other side of it with our compassion and our humanity intact. The year has taught us so much already. We have learned that working together, working collectively is a very powerful thing. We've learned that the most important thing is the shows and the artists, and that's where we wanted to put our emphasis and our support. And we've also really learned that the power of coming together as a sector is a beautiful and powerful thing. Our absolute priority was to ensure that we could refund all of the artists and companies. In doing that, it quite literally meant that the Fringe Society had no income in 2020 and were unable to generate income and were therefore quite literally facing insolvency. We set out on a parallel process, first and foremost to advocate and lobby for new investment into our sector to support Fringe artists, companies and venues and the wider cultural sector to survive the pandemic. And secondly, to ensure the survival of the Fringe Society itself. We immediately cut all non-core costs and furloughed out 70% of our team. In recognition of the role that the Fringe Society plays in underpinning the Fringe Festival, and also in recognition of the social, cultural and economic impact of the Fringe across Scotland, Scottish Government set up a resilience group made up of the key agencies, City of Edinburgh Council, Scottish Government itself, Creative Scotland and Scottish Enterprise. And they worked with our team to ensure that the Fringe Society could survive, providing us with a £1 million loan that would be repayable over 6 years. City of Edinburgh Council also gave the Fringe Society a £100,000 grant to ensure that we could continue to refund the artists and to support the artists and companies and retain the essential infrastructure to make sure that the Fringe could come back strong in 2021. Throughout this process, we have been active and vocal in amplifying the catastrophic effects that the pandemic has had on Fringe companies, artists, venues and the wider cultural sector. We submitted evidence to Scottish Parliament, we submitted evidence to UK Government and DCMS, and we were a very active part of the Creative Industries Federation campaign. It's been really heartening to see the new funding announcements from both Scottish and UK Government, and we will continue to be at the table and to be very proactive in making the case that this funding has to be open to and available to those Fringe artists, companies and venues who are at greatest risk. I guess my last word is to remind all of us of the power of the collective, that we are a community and this is a test of us as a community and a sector to come together, to trust each other, to learn from each other, to listen and to help each other come out the other side of this with, as I said at the start, our compassion and our humanity intact. I really look forward to working with you on this year's Edinburgh Fringe. I know it's not the real experience and I hope to see some of your faces in the virtual landscape. But more than anything else, I invite you to help us as we futurecast and really think about what the Fringe looks like in 2021 and beyond. We want it to come back as the best possible version of itself, a version of the Fringe that fits with a 21st century society. And I'd really invite you to be part of that conversation.